Hello everyone, and welcome to the RV Inspection and Care podcast and video. I'm Dwayne, I'm a certified RV inspector, and today we're going to be talking about deciding between either owning your own RV or renting one instead. Lots of people these days are renting RVs, either from an RV rental company like Cruise America, or maybe from private owners through a network like Outdoorsy or RV Share. So let's look at the pros and the cons of either renting or owning, and that way you can make a decision on what you feel makes the most sense for your particular situation. Let's start with the renting pros. And a great pro to renting is if you're a newer RVer, it helps you learn what you like before you actually go out there and spend a lot of money on an RV. You can try out different kinds of RVs, different categories, different sizes, floor plans, layouts, all those kinds of things, and you'll learn as you go. You'll also learn about how RVs work, how to set them up, how to take them down when you leave the campsite, how to travel in them, and so on. Now, our next pro for renting is there's no storage of an RV when it's not in use. This is huge for a lot of people. Yes, we'd all like to have it at our home, so it's really close by. However, a lot of times HOA laws or zoning laws don't allow that, and you may have to use a storage facility instead. And that can be very expensive in some cases. The next pro, there's no maintenance costs or effort to keep that RV up because the renter does that for you. You don't have any of those costs, and that's really nice. And the next pro is closely related. There's no repair costs either. So if something goes wrong, well, it's up to the renter to take care of that. It's no money out of your pocket. You don't have any of those expenses of normal RV care to have to worry about. That's huge. Another pro for renting is there's no monthly payments. There are no insurance costs. These are expenses that go out month after month after month with an RV, and you just can't avoid them if you own that RV. But if you're renting, you avoid those expenses altogether. Another pro for renting is you can choose different kinds of RVs for different kinds of trips. Let's suppose you just want to go to a local campground for a weekend. Well, you could just get a travel trailer for that. But on the other hand, if you want a long trip and really enjoy that trip and see the countryside, then maybe a Class A would be best to rent. You can fit the RV to the camping trip and travel that you are planning. Now, the last pro is an interesting one. A lot of folks, when they have a vacation, they have a certain amount of time to be able to spend there. Well, you don't want to be spending the vast majority of your time traveling somewhere that you want to go, maybe a national park that could be thousands of miles away. Well, you could fly to that area instead and rent an RV and then spend the vast majority of your vacation time enjoying the area that you want to see. So that is a pro for renting as well. Now let's talk about buying pros for RVs. First of all, it allows you to get what you want. You can get the type of RV or category that you want. You can get the size you want, the floor plan you want, and so on. So it allows you to make sure you get what fits you, and that's a huge pro. Another pro is now that you have that RV, you can modify it. You can upgrade it in any way you want, and RV owners love to do that. We love to make modifications and make it our own, and that's something you can do if you own the RV. Another pro is the RV is always set up the way you want it for your trips. It will have the bed that you want. It'll have the towels you want, the kitchen utensils and appliances and so on. All of that will be there for you. And that's not true in an RV that you're just renting. So it's set up the way you like it at all times, and that's great. Another pro, there's no restrictions on what you can do if you own your RV. Now, if you rent an RV, they very often are going to put restrictions on you, depending on, how far you can travel, certain restrictions about what you can and cannot do with the RV. If you own it, then you set the rules. You can do whatever you want with your RV, and that's huge for a lot of people. Another pro is it's always convenient to go camping at the last minute. If you want to, you can just hop in your RV and take off and go. But if you're renting, it's a little bit more of a process. It takes a little bit of effort to find the one you want and then make the arrangements and then get everything you need in it and so on. But if you own the RV, the convenience factor is just very huge. Now, the last pro that we're going to talk about with owning an RV is you actually can buy an RV and then make money on that RV by renting it to others. Remember, we talked about those sharing networks like Outdoorsy and RV Share. Well, you actually can not only pay for your RV by doing that, in many cases, some are actually profiting off of their RV. Now, the flip side of that is when that RV comes back from a trip, you've got to clean it up and get it ready and maintain it in between for the next trip that goes out. But it is a pro that you can actually use it as an income stream in many cases. All right, those are the pros for both renting and for owning an RV. Now, let me remind you this. The bigger the rig that you choose for RVing, the more expense it's going to cost you, both as a renter and as an owner. So keep that in mind. The smaller the RV, the less expensive. Now, let's discuss the subject of when is it best to rent instead of buy. Well, here's my thoughts. It works great for newer RVers. As I said earlier, you can learn as you go. You can try out all kinds of RVs and see how they fit for you. And that's valuable information and knowledge when you become an RV buyer, if you ever do. Now, the other point is that it's also good for RVers who only go camping every now and then. Maybe you're not a regular RVer, but you like to go a few times a year. Well, maybe the economics actually work out in your favor to rent instead of buying an RV at that point. So it's worth considering. Now, who should buy an RV instead of renting it? Well, it's best for those who like to camp a lot, those who like to get out there with their RV a lot, or maybe travel for several weeks or months at a time. It's definitely going to be better, especially economically then, to own the RV instead of paying the rental costs for every day. But it's also good for those who can afford the financial commitment that it's going to take, not only to buy the RV, but to insure it, to repair it, to maintain it, those that have the time and the money to be able to do that. Well, then buying can very often be the better choice for you. Here's what I recommend. Do the math. Sit down and run the figures both ways and find out what works best for the amount of time that you usually spend RVing. And you know what? In some cases, the answer may surprise you. Well, that's it for now. Have safe and happy travels, my friends. Until next time.